Welcome back to this channel, and today I want to talk about one Fred Matiang'i. There is news circulating around social media, and it was captured in one of our local nations, the Daily Nation, saying, purporting to say that the one Fred Matiang'i has announced his 2027 presidential bid. What can you say about Fred Matiang'i? It is, I want to briefly talk about Fred Matiang'i in case you've forgotten him, or in case you don't know. Fred Matiang'i was the CS for communication. Yes, communication. Yeah. He brought reforms in the ministry, including migration of digital from analog.
In any city in Europe, there is no reason why we shouldn't, because we are building infrastructure, and migrating from analog to digital broadcasting provides us an opportunity to avail more spectrum to enable our, mobile telephony, to enable our broadband footprint to expand in the country. This is why we need to migrate, and surely time is here for us to do it. The uptake by the time we checked last month was about 700,000.
You remember there was a discussion going around that people should not migrate from analog to digital, but Fred Matiang'i stood firm and ensured the total migration from analog to digital. You remember how televisions were switched off for more than 2 weeks until they ensured a total migration from analog to digital. So there he brought reforms in that sector. After doing that, the president then, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, appointed the one Fred Matiang'i to the Ministry of Education. It is during this time that education sector was there was a lot in the education sector, including stealing in exams
by the president. And my role as the president's program officer is to implement the president's program, and that's what I am doing. They should then be comparing president to president, because I am implementing the president's program.
When you came in sometimes last year in December, there was an outcry from the public of examination cheating, a lot of turmoil in the education sector, including teachers' strikes. But now the story is different this time, where the instances of cheating were minimal. How did you do this?
The president asked me and the cabinet secretary in charge of Interior, General Kaiseri. He put us together and he gave us crystal clear instructions. One, he doesn't want to see anything called examination cheating in the country. Two, he told us to do whatever it takes to clean up at the Kenya National Examinations Council. Three, he told us to give him a plan on how we intend to do it and how we intend to ensure that we administer credible exams. So we embarked on that assignment, directly supervised by the president. It's just that a lot of people do not know this and they don't see this. We embarked on this. We studied the national examination cycle. We analyzed the cycle. We looked at the security risks, where they were, the challenges of the institution. We concluded that the Kenya National Examinations Council, as constituted then, had certain fundamental systemic challenges that needed to be addressed. We reported back to the president. The president gave directions and instructions.
There was a lot of rot in the sector, so when Fred Matiang'i came in, he cleaned the sector. And in fact, if you remember the education, 2016 is a year which many students, especially those who did exam in 2016, can remember. It was a year where total reforms in education. There was no theft. The education was equal, whether you were in Alliance or in a village school. Everybody assessed the exam the same time, even the marking. There was no fairness that in school the exam in a certain school can be marked fairly than the other school. It was a year where every child was treated equally, whether you are from the poor background or from the rich. It was a year of total, it was a year that can be remembered, and the one who brought reforms in education sector is none other than Fred Matiang'i. Then after 2016, approaching 2017, Matiang'i was appointed. There was a reshuffle in the cabinet, and Matiang'i found himself in the Ministry of Interior, where he brought reforms. You remember, a lot changed in the ministry, and in fact, in 2019, under Executive Order number 1, the president then, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, made Matiang'i to be like a prime cabinet secretary or prime minister, and it was very powerful. In fact, he was number 2. He was like number 2. That office was so powerful until after 2022 election. So that is just a brief story about the one or Okengo Matiang'i, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, who is now purported to have announced his presidential bid ahead of 2027. What do you think? And I want to ask you a question. If you were to be given a chance in the ballot, a name of Fred Matiang'i is there, and Kalonzo Musyoka and Ruto, who will you elect? Will you choose? Will you vote for Okengo Matiang'i? What is your take on Okengo Matiang'i's announcement today about his 2027 presidential bid? Go ahead and drop your comment in the comment section below. We are going to read those comments and probably get your views. Utamvotia. Thank you. Yeah, wacha tuone maoni yako kwenye comment section. Unampenda Fred Matiang'i? And by the way, before I say bye, recently to our protest, young people went to the street to demonstrate, and most of them were Gen Zs. And the name of Fred Matiang'i emerged. It was very popular during those demonstrations days. Do you think Gen Zs who are leaderless, who are not planless, who are leaderless, do you think they can rally their weight behind Fred Okengo Matiang'i? Or do you think because Fred Matiang'i seems to have in their heart? So unasemaje? Twende huko, utuandike ujumbe kwenye comment section.